The National Audit Office is the supreme audit institution of the Gambia, mandated by the 1997 Constitution in Section 160, audit and report on the public accounts of the Gambia, including all offices and authorities of the government of the Gambia. Examples of such public institutions include government ministries, departments, agencies, public schools and hospitals, local government area councils and municipalities, state-owned enterprises, Gambian embassies and missions, as well as government projects and development programs. The three main types of audits carried out by the NAO are financial audit. This is an audit to ascertain whether the financial statements of a public institution present a true and fair view of its financial situation. Performance audit. This audit seeks to ascertain whether there was value for money in the provision of services to citizens by public institutions in an economic, efficient, and effective manner. Compliance audit. This is an audit to ascertain whether the public institution complied with regulations and guidelines as mandated by applicable laws and regulations.
The mandate of the NAO is quite broad as per the 1997 Constitution. However, we have always resorted to outsourcing some of our audits to private firms, especially in cases of state-owned enterprises and some donor-funded projects. This will help us to meet up with the need to cover all public institutions.
We conduct our audits in accordance with the international standards of supreme audit institutions. Our audit process entails the following stages. Planning stage. This is where we identify the NAO staff to carry out the audit and assign roles to each staff. We also prepare and submit an audit engagement letter to the institution to be audited, which highlights what the audit will entail and what information the institution should provide for the audit to start. Performing stage. This is where we conduct the actual fieldwork activities, which include testing of internal control processes, review of supporting documentation, and testing of sample transactions against the regulations, policies, and standards that govern the institution.
Our audit process is very engaging and consultative. We engage our auditees during the planning of the audit. We engage them during field work, the performing of the audit, as well as the reporting stage of the audit. And even when we do follow up also, they are very much involved in the process.
Being a national institution, as required by law, we are supposed to be audited by the National Audit Office. So the external audit done by them, they help us greatly, because the audits come with findings and recommendations, which help the FIU management to make appropriate interventions in areas that require interventions. If I may cite some examples, when we started the first audit that we went through, the auditors realized that we are not doing withholding tax. So with that, we started doing that. They recommend us that we should be doing withholding tax, which is a requirement that any time you would do purchases, you need to withhold 10% of the amount of that purchase. So with that, with their intervention, we started doing that. And a lot of other issues that they came up, ranging from the social security payments requirement and other payment that we are required to do. So it definitely helps us, and we see it as something that helps us a lot in terms of our operations. We don't see it as a witch hunt.
Reporting stage. Our reporting stage starts with the production of a report known as the draft audit report or draft management letter, and it includes audit findings that have not been resolved during the field work by the management of the audited institution. At this stage, we conduct an exit meeting or closing meeting with the auditee, issue the draft management letter, update and submit the final management report as per what is contained in the responses shared by the auditee. For financial audits, a separate report with the audit opinion is prepared and signed by the Auditor General. A financial audit report would have one of these four conclusions, also known as an audit opinion. Unqualified opinion. This means that the financial statements audited are in line with the institution's books of accounts, that the audited institution has spent the money allocated to it in a proper manner in line with the applicable laws and standards. Qualified opinion. This means that information on the financial statements is fairly presented with the exemption of a specified area. Adverse opinion. This is where the financial statements as a whole does not show a true and fair view of the institution's financial position. Disclaimer opinion. This is a statement to show that no opinion is being given because the information available was not sufficient for the auditors to express an opinion on the financial statements. Why an audit? We conduct public sector audits to give reasonable assurance to the Gambian people on the use and management of their resources, thereby promoting accountability and transparency in the public finance administration. Citizens are able to hold the custodians of public resources accountable once audit reports are made public, and the contents of the audit reports are geared towards improving public service delivery in making a difference to the lives of citizens.
An audit should not be seen as a witch hunt or a drive to tarnish the name of an institution or an individual. Rather, it is meant to help public institutions identify gaps in their operational processes and ways to improve compliance and applications of guidelines, standards, laws, and regulations.
The National Audit Office or the Auditor General, they are the supreme audit institution of the country. That is mandated by the Constitution to carry out audits on public finances and other areas. Now, the responsibility of the Parliament really is the appropriation, where we approve budgets for institutions to go back and work for the development of the country. Now, once these appropriations are done by the Parliament, approved by the Parliament, then the National Audit Office comes into play. What they do is to go back and then check whether those funds that were appropriated by the Parliament is put to best use by using various laws, the Public Finance Act, the GPPA Act, and the various regulations that actually have to ensure that every single penny of the public funds are actually accounted for.
The needed audit impact can be realized if all the stakeholders play their part by reviewing the audit reports, discussing the audit reports, and implement the audit recommendations for improvement. With this, our role as a supreme audit institution becomes relevant.
This is what we do, how we do it, and why we do it. National Audit Office, helping government spend wisely.